There's something uniquely satisfying about torching somebody for a touchdown. Even if that person in question is a freshman defender from Catholic Memorial about yay high and yay wide that I nicknamed Meatball. We all know the fun things that happen at Belmont Hill, most commonly. Getting touchdowns, scoring goals, and getting anything above a 79.5 on the test. But as I'm sure most of you are familiar, there are also the bad things at Belmont Hill, like getting planted by Meatball or getting the infamous red "See me" on the top of your Mr. Butler chemistry test. But every once in a while, something bad happens to you that's outside of the normal range of things that happen at Belmont Hill. For me, two of the worst things that ever happened to me happened in the height of summer, far from school's protected buffer. I'll call them Tro and Dan. Tro was a 19-year-old senior at St. Paul's. I was 14 years old. He had never met me, and he decided that he didn't like me. He never beat me up, but he went after me in the malicious way that only a 19-year-old without many friends his own age can. He made fun of me for things like my school, my hair, my skin, my clothes, my friends. All the things that can really get to a ninth grader. Dan was an old friend, someone I had looked up to. We had been good buddies for a long time. He was a little older than I was, but I looked up to him. He was my good friend. I'd spent countless hours riding permanent shotgun in his rusted out SUV. But as Dan got older and closer to college, he changed. He grew colder, more cynical, genuinely mean. When I heard him making fun of one of my friends who he didn't even know, I called him out, and Dan went ballistic. He went after absolutely everything about me, about my friends, about my parents. It was bad. I didn't understand. I didn't know what had happened to my friend, what I had done wrong. I was angry. I was upset. I felt, I guess, betrayed. My friend was just gone. Someone told me not to let Dan get inside my head, but he was there with Turo, lurking around in some dark, probably bad-smelling corner of my mind. He reappeared with Turo simultaneously at, of all places, a college counseling meeting with Mrs. Melvoin, which for me was a seemingly therapeutic way to talk about absolutely everything but college. Mrs. Melvoin very quickly understood that Dan and Turo, out of everyone I know in this entire world, are the only two people that I genuinely, truly hate. The ever-calming Mrs. Melvoin recommended that I move on from them, that I forget them, that I forgive them. There are tons of places that tell us to move on from people we dislike. It's the Christian thing for me to do, move on. It's the moral thing to do, but I can't seem to do it. You see, the point of moving on from our past trauma is to get away from those bad, powerful emotions that we associate with our very worst experiences. But if I've learned anything, it's that I feel the most alive when I feel the most, be it bad or good. The line between absolute elation and total devastation isn't so very defined. And I'll give you an example of this. In 10th grade, I got dumped by my girlfriend on her birthday over Facebook. She changed her relationship status to in a relationship with Max. I'm not going to tell you his last name. That was traumatizing. It was the worst thing that had ever happened to me. But the total, oh my God, what just happened to me, devastation that followed, that trauma, was every bit as complete as this is the best feeling ever that I felt after winning my first and only New England championship. You see, what I've come to understand is that trauma is relative. There's the bar up, Meatball made me fumble, 79.4, my girlfriend dumped me. And then there's the real bad things. There's the bullies in life. There's those friends that you lose. But as relaxing and relieving as getting rid of our real trauma is, it's far better to hold on to it, to remember it, to use it. To use it for the little things, like making yourself go the extra mile to get that 4th and 10, or to go bar down, or get that 79.6. But it's also good to use it for the important things, like making sure you never, ever date a girl like Lucy again. Making sure that you can shut up the next standard throw. And after you use them, you may find that it's okay to laugh a little bit about that 10th grade girlfriend, and that it's okay to laugh a little bit about all those things that a 19-year-old said to a 15-year-old so many years ago, and that at the end of the day, they don't really sting as much as they did way back when.
Good morning. To those of you who are awake, thank you for your attention. To those of you asleep, I hope you are dreaming. The dreamers in the audience already know what I am about to say. For those of you in a dry and listless sleep, congratulations. Ignorance is supposedly bliss. A story. Once upon a time, yesterday at 2 p.m., next Tuesday, 5 years ago in 2016, a boy walked along a crowded street. Men and women in the latest fashion rushed by him, some moving this way, others moving that way. The boy could not believe they avoided hitting each other. Every person who glided by had his or her eyes closed. They sailed down the path as if on magnetic segways, all of the same charge, opposing. This was no science fiction. It was just a moment ago. Miraculous that so many people could have their eyes closed and be on their way somewhere. Where, the boy could not guess. He only knew he was headed somewhere else. Beneath an overhang of one of the buildings along the sidewalk, the boy spotted a man. Unlike the others, this man did not move, nor was he dressed in the latest fashion. Instead, he wore rags and holy shoes and a holy hat, which is to say, he was both blessed and perforated. Wow, the boy thought, a rock in the middle of the river. The boy walked gingerly up to the man, who held a sign with Braille on it. Naturally, the man with the sign assumed the people sailing by with their eyes closed were blind. At first he had tried signs in normal writing, but no one had stopped. So far, no one had touched the Braille either, but he kept hoping some of the blind people would come to him, run their fingers along the sign, and give alms. No such luck. The boy stood opposite the man. The boy did not look at the sign. He looked into the man's eyes, which were open and gleaming. The man stared back into the boy's eyes, which were open and gleaming. "I see you," said the boy. "I see you," said the man. And then the boy who had a home somewhere and the man who had no home anywhere kissed, because no one was watching. They walked away holding hands and learned to love each other, because taboos no longer existed. End of story. Good morning. Isn't this a fine bubble we are living in? To be honest, I am blind to the vast majority of you, as most of you are blind to me. Let's not beat around the bush. You and I are more likely to be focused on that math test than we are on each other. But I've had enough now. I no longer wish to move like a magnetic Segway with my eyes closed. I have seen the Braille on the wall, and I want to fall in love with you. I propose that we rip apart the latest fashion and wear rags together. We can all be holy and moth-eaten together. It isn't about seeing me. I will try to see each of you, but I won't succeed every time. Just see someone, Love someone. The bubble cries, no, keep your head down, and I cry, tears. Seeing is not about other people at first. It starts with realizing the sky is impossibly blue and trees are beautiful. How do I see, you ask? Begin by burning the books that overflow with magnetic segue homework. Cherish the books that mean. Do not burn the people that assign magnetic segue homework. They know not what they do. Forgive them, but in forgiving them, learn to ignore them. Next, walk around outdoors alone with no shoes on when you should be staring at a whiteboard. Experience the company of nature and the ground in your solitude. I accept no liability for those who cut their feet doing this. I am not McDonald's. Figure out for yourself that the beverage you are about to spill on your lap is extremely hot. Next, hold someone's hand. How can you know for sure that you are unless you feel other people? The mirror is no substitute. If I am a liar, my reflection will lie too. I need someone else to tell me the truth, which is, fingers crossed, that I exist. Next, do something entirely unexpected. At the very least, do not always hold the soap you wash yourself with in the shower in your right hand. Once upon a time, hopefully before next Wednesday, spice things up and hold it in your left hand, along with your toothbrush. Finally, self-medicate. The doctors here will not prescribe the dose of laughter and creativity you need on a daily basis. They will do their best, but please supplement with vitamins of your own. There is no drug like a bold, new idea. Good morning. To those of you who are still awake, thank you for your attention. Those dreaming, I salute you. To those of you in dry and listless sleep, I see you. But you may not see me for a very long time. It is okay. I will love you anyway. End of story.
Here, in this place, right now, this moment, here. Houston, happy, whole, home. Here. SDLC. You don't need sentences to explain yourself. Here. You don't have to explain yourself. Here. We know how to punctuate you. Here. We know how to make your subjects and your verbs agree. Here. We know you. Here. With that statement, SDLC commenced, as did the most moving experience of my life. Now, before I move on, let me set some context. SDLC is the Student Diversity Leadership Conference, which I, along with 9 other Belmont Hill boys, attended in Houston 2 weeks ago. From the moment I stepped off the plane in Boston last Saturday, people have asked me, so how was it? What did you learn? Answering that question has been quite hard, but I will try to articulate it for you here today. During the opening ceremony, the intent became clear: to find yourself. To help start that process, all 1,400 students participated in an exercise called Silent Movement, where the SDLC faculty read off identifiers, such as gender or ethnicity, and asked anyone who identified with that to stand up. Seeing kids do so for the sensitive topics, such as gay and bi gender, in a room full of strangers, truly set the tone and electrified the atmosphere, giving the rest of us the courage to speak up, not only at the conference, but also back home and at school. We also broke up into smaller groups of 60 to 80 students, centered on discussions and activities for all topics of diversity, from socioeconomic class to religion, where the main requirement was just to speak from personal experience. While in those groups, I heard a few stories that I would like to share with you. One girl told us that her classmates had tormented and pressured her so much to lose weight that she developed an eating disorder. And as a way of coping with the stress, she began cutting herself. Another girl narrated the troubles of being a closet lesbian, and how, with the confidence she gained from SDLC, she would come out the moment she got home. Lastly, one student recently attempted suicide due to all her internal struggles, and she wouldn't be alive today had a teacher not intervened at the last possible moment. Now, I want those stories to sink in. Consider what you just heard in context of your own struggles. It's humbling, and it really puts things in perspective. And before this trip, I had never heard such powerful stories. But each and every one of those that I heard has motivated me and inspired me to share my own struggles with self-identity and culture. At SDLC, I revealed many things which I had not told any of you or any of my closest friends. And that is one of the beauties of this conference. Everyone is open-minded, respectful, and genuine. It was very easy for me to open up and release my bottled feelings in a welcoming and fostering environment that at times I wish to go back to. Here, I could let my emotions freely reign, and I did not have to worry about people judging me and questioning my masculinity when I cried. From my experience, I learned that I was not alone. I rediscovered some of the identity which I had lost throughout the past several years. I tore off my mask, which I used to wear every day. I gained more confidence and courage to speak up, not just to represent myself, but all 1,999 of those who shared those 3 days with me. And I want each and every one of you to do the same. So I end here with a charge, one which I too have embraced. Live the life you choose to lead. And as Mahatma Gandhi once said, be the change you want to see in the world. Thank you.